You have to be careful with your language on your website. If you direct all of the language to adult children, it could really turn off an older adult. We saw that really early on, is that there are a lot more older adults looking at your website than you think.
4. A single call is made. Today's buyer has already formed a first impression, and chances are it came from your website. But if that digital front door is stuck, or worse, confusing, you've already lost them.
Welcome to From Leads to Leases, a CCR Growth podcast that helps senior living providers transform their complex challenges into opportunities. Listen in for stories from industry leaders, innovative strategies, and insights. And with our expertise, learn how to increase occupancy faster, guaranteed.
Welcome back to another episode of From Leads to Leases, the podcast that dives deep into the senior living and senior care industries, bringing you insights, strategies, and stories from the experts at the forefront of innovation, leadership, and care. I'm your host, Jerry Vinci, CEO of CCR Growth. For those of you who don't know about us, CCR Growth is a full-service marketing and growth agency that's exclusive to the senior living industry. And through this podcast, I'm here to guide you through the evolving landscape of senior care, exploring the innovations, strategies, and leadership insights that are shaping the future of the industry. So whether you're a provider, a caregiver, or industry leader, this show is here to help you make informed decisions and create meaningful impact. All right, today's guest is Terri Sullivan, sales strategist, technology entrepreneur, and the founder of Waypoint Converts, with over 30 years of sales experience and more than 16 of those focused on the senior living space. Terri's a nationally recognized voice in digital conversion. She works with many of the largest REITs and operators in the country to redesign how families and older adults engage with senior living communities online. Her platform doesn't just focus on traffic, it transforms the way people choose to engage using AI-assisted quizzes, dynamic CTAs, and intentional language designed to meet both the adult child and the 84-year-old prospect exactly where they are. So in today's episode, Terri unpacks the behavioral data behind great websites and how small shifts in copy, access, and education can unlock bigger admissions and better leads. So Terri, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here. And I love the topic. You're hitting on all my passion, all my buttons. I'm ready.
Anytime I get to talk about marketing, I get excited. It's always a fun conversation, and I love learning from everyone in this industry. Everybody's got such great insights into user behavior, customer behavior, the prospect journey, all of it. So I know we're going to touch on a lot of that stuff today. Obviously, a big part of getting visitors on your site starts with search. So I'm going to start just talking about search a little bit. One of the interesting data points that I found said that in a 2024 Build Fire survey, 81% of people now conduct online research before engaging a sales rep for higher consideration services like senior living. And I know you said that this trend is even more pronounced in senior living, where there's things like fear and guilt and uncertainty that kind of shape that journey. What does the data show about how long users engage with the website before converting or bouncing in senior living?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of data out there generally across websites and mobile versus desktop. I mean, the bottom line at the end of the day is your website is that first impression that a consumer gets. And generally you have, 20 to 30 seconds to grab that person's attention and bring them in to want to learn more. And then the average person may spend anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes on your website. So if you think about that, the content that you provide, whoever that audience is, how you capture them, how you intrigue them to engage with your brand. And then if you also look at the way consumers have changed, consumers really want, Gartner did a study that 75% of consumers in one of their studies said that they would prefer a rep-free experience. Well, if you take that into consideration and you put that on top of your website, then you want to make it as self-serve, as self-educational, right? You want to be able to give that consumer the ability to do that. So the better your content is, and the more engaging CTAs you have, the better chance you have of keeping them on your website and then converting them into your sales funnel. So it's your digital front door. And if you capture them when they open the door, you do. If you don't, you don't, right?
Right.
And you're competing with what other website they go to or what other community they do down the street. So, yeah. So quick. It's quick.
Quick. It's got to be
Quick.
quick.
Yeah.
You mentioned too, desktop and mobile.
Yeah.
one of the things, the challenges that I find with some of our senior living clients is just the fact that there's so much information to consume, but 65 to 70% of their audience is consuming it through a mobile device. Have you seen any conversion data that says that it converts better on desktop versus mobile?
I think we're seeing more and more mobile. I think for the older adult segment, it's more desktop, but
Yeah.
an adult child could be 65, right? So at the end of the day, desktop, and tend to visit more pages on desktop, maybe 2 to 4 plus pages, where on mobile, they may not visit as many pages. And I think you have to be super careful too if you're using some type of assistant, a website assistant, you don't want it taking over your mobile experience, right? You want it there as a resource, but you don't want it taking over your mobile experience. So in general, more on the desktop, and then, the mobile is coming up fast. We're seeing that about, I'm trying to think, on average, and we've separated out by IL, memory care, and combined. On average, we're almost seeing 50-50. If we take all the lifestyle quizzes that all of our consumers across all of our customers filled out, we're really close. It's like 60-40, 50-50 on the older adults versus the family members or other. Could be professional services, it could be something else, a professional referral. So we're seeing it really mixed. So you really have to think about it. Who is your audience and how are you meeting them where they are? Because if you're getting a mix of both, think about that, even from a marketing perspective, right? I mean, you have to think about how are you meeting them where they are. Not only do you have to think about that, but you have to think about how do they engage technologically with your website, right? How easy do you make it for someone who might be 80 that comes in and experiences your website and somebody who's 40 that comes in and experiences your website? So you have to think about all of those things as collectively. Make sense?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You mentioned quizzes too, and I'm curious because on our end, we don't do quizzes per se. We engage with other companies like yours who do
Yeah.
quizzes, but we
Yeah.
we look at form fills, we look at chat conversations, and a lot of times we look at the abandonment rate, how quickly somebody starts and then potentially leaves
Yeah.
that survey or that form or that chat.
Yeah.
Have you seen any difference between a mobile user and a desktop user in terms of abandonment rates?
I think on the way our product works is we offer like a variety of short forms and longer form options, as well as an AI conversational assistant as well. So we see a combination of that. I think it's a little early on the AI assistant, but I think in the mobile, you definitely want to keep it short. It has to be mobile responsive. Um, it's a really good question because I would really like to go in and look at our lifestyle data to what percentage of the lifestyle quiz. Like when you post this, I'm going to put that in the comments because I want to look at that
I'm
data.
curious too. Yeah.
Well, it's the longer one, right? The
Yeah.
short ones, that's a no-brainer on both desktop and mobile. I mean, we see conversion rates up to 42%. We see form completion rates up to 90%. Less on the lifestyle quiz, which is longer. But I think that because this is really like my passion on in this industry is that yes, short forms are better. Yes, they convert quickly. But if you have a contact us form on your website and it's capturing vendors and people looking for jobs and people looking to sell you things and people looking to get message to residents, if you offer some CTAs that are varied and you give the consumer the power to convert in the way they want to. And our forms are very short. They pop up on the screen and then they drop down very quickly after somebody fills them in. But I think the power is offering a multitude of options because if you think about every consumer that comes to your website, they're in a different place in their search cycle and they might be in a different place in the sales funnel, right? If they're looking for memory care and their spouse is, they're no longer able to take care of them,
Hmm.
that's a get help now thing, right? They're going to want to engage with you quickly. But if somebody's just dabbling and looking, then give them a couple of ways to engage. Engage in longer form like a quiz or an assessment, and then give them the shorter forms with multiple CTAs where they can say, oh, yeah, I'm interested in pricing, or I'm interested in a tour, or yeah, I want to learn about the financial aspect of senior living. There's a guide I can download. Like, give them ways to engage. We all want to drive them down a tour. Of course we do, because if they come in and tour, we have a better chance of them becoming residents. But the reality is on how people shop and how they educate themselves. Our goal is to educate them enough and to have them feel good about your brand that they do want to schedule a tour and they do want to come in. So I think variety is really key there.
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody navigates differently, consumes information differently. So giving people options is super important. One of the biggest complaints that I get from owners and operators is about solicitors, vendors, and job seekers filling out forms or hopping into chats and things like that.
Yeah.
Have you found, are there any ways that you've found to help deter that from happening on a website?
Absolutely. So, there's multiple ways to do it, and we can do it through our full conversational AI, our LLM AI assistant. It will send them to the employment page. But I think at the end of the day, in your website assistant itself, if you have something that's configurable where you can add things, you want to get them out of the sales funnel. So make it very clear, like when our navigator pops up, it says join our team or learn about employment opportunities or whatever it is. Get them out of the sales funnel, get them to the page that you want them to be on, and then let them continue. So then you're narrowing down, right, through these other ways to engage and convert in a way that consumer's interested in. Right. So yes, absolutely 100%. And then we also have an website assistant for careers that a lot of our customers use. So then they can engage in different types of CTAs on the career page as well. So we do that too. So it's really about being creative and utilizing tools to help those people find where they want to go.
I love that. Yeah, we have this custom AI tagging that we do on the back end to help make sure those don't make it into the CRM. But man, that's so frustrating across all the clients. How many job seekers they get
Yeah.
calls for on a daily basis? They're like, "Can we stop these people from
Yeah.
calling, please?"
Well, the challenge there too is that going back to the original one catch-all contact us form website, right? You're going to get everything. And you're right. Then you have to figure out how to route those based on what they've selected, if they've selected anything, right? So yeah, it's definitely challenging, but there are ways to do that for sure.
Going back to the conversation around giving people different options on the website, do you think it's especially important to give prospects time and space to self-educate, especially during like the senior care journey?
Yeah. Yeah, that's another one of my one of my passions too is that I've been in sales my whole life. I've been in professional sales. I'm not even gonna say it, 30 plus years. And I've sold enterprise software for companies like NEC America and 3M. I've been in media advertising and outdoor advertising. So a lot of enterprise sales. And then I joined senior living in 2007. And I personally hadn't experienced it yet. A couple of years later, I did in helping my grandmother. But I think it fascinated me, this sale. It is, if you think about a B2B sale, right? Business to business sale, say it's enterprise software sale like we have. And when in the sales process, you might have a committee sale, you have multiple decision makers, right? It's generally a higher priced item. It's committee, right? You have family members, you have all kinds of things going on. It's emotional. It requires a physical move. And it's not it's definitely a financial, it's a huge financial decision too, and a lifestyle decision. I mean, think about all of those things combined into one sale. I was like, wow, it's really not a B2C sale, it's a B2B sale. It's like it's very, very, it's very rich. It's one of the most unique sales that I've ever experienced in my life. So for me, that represents a challenge for our customers to market, right? And to meet these people where they are. The other big thing that's fascinating to me is often, like, if somebody does work to their website, they're probably going to do it again and again and again and again, right? And senior living, it may be a first time experience. This person's coming in to learn about it. It's the first time that they've ever learned about the senior living industry. So that's a challenge as well for our customers because they're coming in not knowing, right? So we have to educate them. And that they're not nursing. This is old stuff, but we're not nursing homes. We're not this, we're not that. So I think that's the other big challenge in this space is that it is so unique. The only thing closer to it is maybe buying a home, your first home or a home, because that can be very emotional. But there's a lot to unpack around the sale, So yeah.
Yeah.
It's unique.
Yeah, and no one's ever done it before until they have to do it, right? Or they don't even give it thought beforehand most of the time, unless they have someone in their family who's in the senior living industry. I find that that's the only time that somebody has these discussions ahead of time. This is how I got my start in the industry too. I watched all four of my grandparents go through some form of senior care, whether it was
Yeah.
in-home care, nursing home at the time called nursing home, assisted living, and then independent living. So they all had a different journey, and it just intrigued me how many different options there were and how people in different stages of life as they age has a different experience. And it's really interesting how the industry has created all of these options to help people find a forever place to call home that still feels right for them and for their family.
It helps you meet your needs and be able to still
Yeah.
live a fulfilling life, right?
Yeah.
If I get
I love
there and
that.
I'm that age, I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
I'm glad there's something there for me,
Yeah.
right? At the end of the day, but I didn't have my experience was kind of one of those hard family experiences where my grandmother was experiencing some medical issues. So she went into assisted living, but she was sharp as a tack. And there was very high acuity in this particular assisted living section of this community. And
Hmm.
she was absolutely miserable. She was making everybody, the residents miserable, the team, the staff, the executive director miserable. We ended up moving her into an independent living apartment with a little bit of assistance, and she was thrilled. And her social life, but you have to be so careful. You just don't know. So I take that experience and thinking, how do you help these people figure out, you know, what the right thing is, right? So, anyways, yeah, yeah,
Talking about surveys a little bit too, it's funny that you mentioned it being B2B because that was actually one of the data points that I pulled was uh, that survey tools and quizzes aren't just interactive, they're actually high
yeah,
performing. So a
yeah.
2023 demand gen report showed that 77% of high
Oh, that,
performing B2B websites include some form of interactive content
yeah,
or personalized quizzes.
yeah.
Um, so why do you think quizzes outperform traditional contact us forms on senior living websites?
I think it's a combination of things. The way consumers have changed. I think that whole rep-free experience, we've gotten used to as a society being able to self-serve. And people want to self-serve before they speak to a salesperson. And that's a big one. I think also is because these are first-time buyers in very many cases, that that gives them the opportunity to interact with that company's brand, share some relevant data, and also inform sales because they share this extra data about what they want to do next, what's important to them, right? Because discovery, we know in this industry is huge. And being able to, I like to say, help a resident see themselves living there or a family in a resident see themselves living there. So that's a very value based, high touch personal sale, unless it's way down someone's just in need of something right now. But in general, I mean, this is a pretty big decision.
Hmm.
I think that the quizzes tend to engage in a way that allow people to experience the brand, get some education, watch a testimonial, in the end, get connected to more content. They're still converting into the funnel, and then it's empowering the salespeople to have more data to be better salespeople at the end of the day, which is really important. So I think that's why it's really successful in senior living. I think it gives people that opportunity on their iPad at 11 o'clock at night to go ahead and engage with the brand. And it makes them also feel that the company, the community, the company, the organization, the operator cares about what's important to them. How you position those questions is important, right? Tell me about what's important to you. How can we help you? What would you like to do next? And really putting the consumer in the driver's seat because we want to drive now. We don't want anybody else driving us.
Yeah. No,
you know?
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want me driving you. I'll tell you. Oh, yeah, my team sees this, we're gonna laugh, but yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So I
What
think it is.
about conversion rates on websites that have surveys versus those that just use traditional forms? And what does that look like?
Yeah, so for us, we see lower conversion rates on the lifestyle quizzes, anywhere up to 25%, where in our short forms, we'll see anywhere up to 40%, meaning click to convert into the sales funnel. Well, it's lower. Could we see on average like 18 to 22, 20, sometimes we see 25%. We do have one customer that saw 40%. For some reason, their communities in general and the way they position themselves just drove more. But what we do here is that those leads that do come in through the lifestyle quiz tend to be higher quality. They have more data, so they can actually help the salespeople position which leads to prioritize, what the customer wants to do next, right? There's just more information there. We just released, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about AI, but we just released this AI summary for the salespeople too. That will tell the story based on how they answered the questions, give them a couple of open-ended discovery questions to ask, and then also empower them with potential next steps for the salesperson. So we released that about 2 months ago. And so far now we're rolling it out to our customers. But I think at the end of the day, it's the empowerment of sales as well. So the consumer is going to have a better personalized experience from beginning to end. And hopefully the salesperson, we do training too, but hopefully the salesperson won't ask the same questions again.
Hopefully not. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they can get to
So
a deeper, more meaningful conversation right off the bat.
this business in general is you're in marketing and your whole goal is to help drive more people to their websites, help engage them on the websites and help with the content and then convert them into the sales funnel. But once we do that collectively as partners, the sales folks have to take that over. So anything that we can do to empower them to have more qualified leads, to be able to spend their time more efficiently, to help empower them to be better sales professionals. And I think that focus on professional. I've been a sales professional my entire career, and it is an extremely respectable industry, and it is a very fulfilling job. So I think we don't build up salespeople enough to say, "Hey, you're so important because you're the first person they've done the digital experience, but you're the first person that that customer is going to touch, right?" So focusing on that is everything on the customer care side, in my opinion. So first impressions.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the number one complaint from sales teams is the quality of leads that they're getting or the quality of
Yeah.
information that they're getting. So if a
Yeah.
survey is able to provide them with a deeper understanding so they can show up in a way different way to that first conversation they have with a prospect, it's going to change the prospect's whole experience of what it's like within that community or within that provider's portfolio of communities. So because the survey is collecting and curating a better data set, have you seen a higher conversion rate on the leads that get into the CRM that come from the surveys? Where, yeah, let's just say move-ins.
Yeah, so we're fortunate. We have really great partnerships with our customers, so they'll give us read access to their CRM
That's
because
great.
I mean, our job is really to make sure to help them make sure that they're seeing a great return on our product and that we're helping them, right? So we can see the conversion rates, and for us on the lifestyle quiz, our customers tell us, and we've seen that it'll convert to move-ins more like 10 to 12%, right, on average. But with the regular forms, you're looking, it could be 2 to 6% if you're lucky on the high end. We do see higher move-in rates on the lifestyle quiz in general. Again, there's a lot of factors, how good the sales team is, right? There's a lot there, how responsive they are to leads, all of those things. But in general, we do see higher quality leads would lead to more move-ins through the lifestyle quiz. Definitely.
And aside from move-ins, I think the other major metric that everybody kind of tracks would be scheduled tours. Have you seen a higher percentage with that as well?
Well, we're unique in the way we do this is we bring them to the lifestyle quiz and we ask them what they want to do next. If they want to schedule a tour, then we deliver up the tour scheduler on the back end of the form so they can go ahead and schedule the tour. So we do it a little bit more uniquely. And we do see duplicate forms sometimes. Some people will take the lifestyle quiz and then go in and schedule a tour off the navigator too. So we do see definitely more tours. Could be anywhere 20 to 40% more tours, depending on traffic, depending on, the customer, depending on whether they want people to self-serve and schedule tours themselves, or they want to give them an option to give a couple dates and times. It really depends on the customer, but in general, yes, for sure. There's a lot of senior living providers out there that still don't have a self-service tour scheduler, which at this day and age, it's a simple ad and it's not an expensive ad to help somebody who's at home make a decision on their own to go ahead and schedule a tour. And if you don't have that, that's the simplest thing that you could add to your web help drive, right? I mean, I still see it a lot though. I do see it a lot. And they're afraid because they're like, "Oh, will the salesperson be able to handle it all? Well, will they double book? I don't know what their schedules are going to look like. They might be on a tour." I'm like, "Just schedule the tours. You can move them." you know.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Even the consumer behavior, I think, is a bit unique in this industry too, because on the back end, we'll see somebody will fill out the form and then they'll call and then
yeah,
they might get on chat and then they might call again and then they'll schedule a tour. So it's
yeah,
kind of interesting. It's never just a straight line from A to B. So I see what you're saying about somebody
yeah.
filling out the survey and maybe not scheduling the tour right away. Makes
Yeah, we
sense.
ran into that with the AI conversational assistant too. When we first came out with the conversational assistant, it can ask any question. It's educated on the customer's brand and their FAQs, whatever they want to educate it on. But we noticed that people were really, it was more top of funnel. Like people were asking a lot of questions about the community, where it was located, when did it open, and we're capturing all this data so we can understand for our customers what they need to do to educate their AI assistant. Because bottom line is, we tend to drive people down a question set. So we're not really capturing the true essence of what people are really going to ask. And so we were like certain things like, can you give me directions? Well, then you should add into the editor a Google Maps link, right? So we're learning by what people are asking to build better experiences for consumers. But we learned that it was so top of funnel. We're like, no, it needs to convert more because that's what our customers want. So we just put a schedule a tour button at the bottom of the AI assistant. And they can click on it and a form opens up. They schedule it and they're good to go. So it's all about learning how people use the website.
Going back to surveys too, what do you think is the psychology behind someone being more willing to fill out a lifestyle quiz than a form?
I think human beings, I mean, I've done K-Health quizzes and Noom's quizzes, and I mean,
We get excited about quizzes.
there's a quiz for everything, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that there's something in human nature, there's a curiosity that we have. We have this quench to learn even about ourselves. Is going to tell me something about myself that I don't know, right? So I think it's that. I think it's also entertaining for them. Like we have some customers who love to use cartoons in their lifestyle quiz because they feel it's light and this is a heavy subject. So use light. We have some that want to be more sophisticated and use line drawings, and some that use black and that are much more dramatic. But at the end of the day, I think it's kind of entertaining. Oh, I can go through this little quiz, right? And the next version of our quiz will be based on how someone answers. AI will then serve up different content depending on what they answered. But I think at the end of the day, it's about their experience and their learning comfort level, you know. But I think in general, in human beings, we like to be entertained. And I think we're naturally curious, and I think people just love the word quiz. I mean, we have, over the years, experience with what to call it, right? Um, get it could be start your journey, or get admissions ready on the skilled side, or whatever it is. But still, take the lifestyle quiz or start here. But like take the lifestyle quiz still works. When we changed it to take our survey, 50% reduction in conversions. Words matter when it comes to these sort of things. And I think when people take things like that, they expect them to be a little longer. They don't expect them to be, 4 fields, right? So yeah, I think it's just human curiosity and the need and want not to speak with someone yet. But I can take this quiz, right? And it's fun and it's easy. So
Yeah, I mean, lifestyle quiz immediately makes me think, what's my lifestyle? And I, I want to take a quiz to find out. I think that's just the nature of a quiz. It's it's interactive, number one. I think that's the best part about it. And it's not overloading them with questions all at once. It's like one at a time. And then the second piece of that is that hopefully at the end of it, they learn something about themselves. And because the senior living journey is usually it's their first time or maybe their second time going through it, they're still not sure what options are available. So this will help educate them along the way. So I love that.
yeah,
I think it's really beneficial.
yeah, and the beauty about doing a lifestyle quiz, ours is not cookie cutter. It's not the same for every customer. So you could put educational snippets, testimonial videos in it. So you can educate as you go. Some people, the first question often could be is, are you interested in assisted living, independent living, assisted living, or memory care? I've shopped for this before. So we just put a little educational snippet down at the bottom that says what each one is. So they can at least make a selection that they're partially educated on, right? So there's so many ways to use technology like this to self-educate as they go too. So, and you can be as creative as you want, which is fun.
You had said that words matter when you're creating the CTA. So I wanted to talk about that real quick because you had a pretty cool case study. You had told me about an A/B test in skilled nursing where you replaced the phrase get admissions ready with get help now. And I think what admissions jumped 37%, right?
50.
50. Wow.
50. Yeah.
Wow. That's
They had a
amazing.
37% conversion from lead to admissions over 10 centers over 9 months, which is huge.
Wow.
Senior living would kill for that. Moving,
Wow.
moving,
Yeah.
right? But, it was a 50% increase in conversion when we changed it from get admissions ready to get help now. And if you think about who is at that funnel when they're looking at skilled nursing, that's why I think we really need to think about where the customer is when they're looking. You know, they're feeling anxiety, they might be feeling fear, they might be feeling overwhelmed. Like there's a lot of things that they could be feeling. So the get help now, even for memory care, could be really effective because it might be someone looking, I've been taking care of my wife or my mother or my father, and I'm at that point where I can't do it anymore. Home care is too much, it's too expensive. The Get Help Now just was huge. And we just looked at it over a 2-week and then a 30-day period, and we're like, holy cow, 50%. I mean, that's a big jump just by changing 3 words, you know? So, and we encourage our customers, the data doesn't lie. So you can easily change the name of a button on a website assistant, and you should. You should try things and don't be afraid to try things. Start your journey. I wrote some down that we found customers are finding successful. Start your journey. Get admissions ready. I put on here. Start the process. Because think about it. They don't even know what the process is of. If you buy a car, you're going to go in, you're going to select your car. You got to know your budget. You're going to get approved for a loan, right? If you take a loan or you're going to pay cash, you're going to negotiate. These folks don't even know what the process is. So I think there's just these ways that you can use wording and positioning to help them feel more comfortable. So yeah, it's kind of the fun part of having a configurable product. You can
Yeah.
change it on the fly, which
I
is
love
me.
what I love what you just said about the process too, because if they don't know what the process is, then how are they going to feel comfortable starting the process when they don't know what that even looks like? They might
So
be,
can
they
I
might feel like they're overcommitting to something,
can I
right?
implore the senior living world right now? Do me a favor. Create for the sales teams what to expect next. Just a guide. It can be 5 steps. It can be however you want it to be. The visit, talking about the financial pieces of it, like lay it out for them. And then even say this is generally a 30-day process, or like come up with what your process is for your community and share it with your consumers, because at the end of the day, then they're going to feel a little less anxiety. They're going to say, oh, these people are going to take me right through this process. This is generally what happens. And I don't see it anywhere. I've seen a couple of really wonderful graphics that say what we are not. And it was a skilled nursing, and it was this beautiful graphic, and it listed these 5 things of what they're not. But just a simple what to expect guide, I think would be extremely successful. So reach out to me if you have one, because I would love to. I'd love to read it. And so
That's
yeah,
great advice though, because every single marketing and sales proposal that we put together after we do the presentation, the first thing we do is show a next step slide so they know exactly what's going to come next. And I think that's so important because without telling people what comes next or what to do next, they may not do anything. They may just sit there and be like, okay, I got that information. Great. And then they move on to someone else. So
exactly.
people need to be motivated to
They
take the
want
next
their
step
hands to be
sometimes.
held. They want to make a decision. Help them make a decision,
Yeah.
and help them make a decision quickly, as quickly as you can. Right. I think the major thing that's changed from a marketing and sales perspective, COVID especially, in the whole world, not just senior living, is that the marketing process is longer now and the sales process is shorter. So the salesperson's job actually got harder because the consumers are coming in a little bit more educated. They're downloading your guides, they're educating themselves, and then they get to meet with a salesperson. Now they've educated themselves, right? They still don't know what they don't know, but at the end of the day, it's that salesperson is even more pinnacle now than they used to be. I think this business is still high touch no matter how you look at it. But yeah, I think that's super key is understanding that the sales process has changed now. That digital has taken over such a big piece of it that the sales side of it is really critical. That ever complete take over, maybe people will be booking rooms online. That may happen, sooner than later. Who knows?
Yeah, at some point, sight unseen, right? Just like rentals in some
With
cities that
with the
happens.
new
So
wave coming in
yeah,
2025 and 10,000
yeah,
people turning 80 every day. I mean, we're there. We've been talking about it for years, but we're here now,
yeah.
right?
But I think that's why language simplicity matters because it's not just unique to senior living too. I mean, we see this across a lot of different industries. And one data point I saw was that plain language CTAs, they convert 28% better than like clever or like brand heavy alternatives. So I
Yeah,
think it's very, very important to find that one. So like you're saying, test and test and test again until you see a marked difference in how people are taking
yeah,
action.
yeah, and every region's different. I mean, region the Northeast is not gonna be the same as Pennsylvania, right? So I think that it's to have that flexibility to be able to do that, and to have a digital marketing partner, like your company or other whatever their digital marketing partners are, to work with them to say, "How can we improve? What can we do to tweak this to make it more effective?" And reduce the amount of people that are getting into the sales funnel that shouldn't be there, s you know?
Are there other CTAs that you found to be really successful at conversion?
Yeah, at the end of the day, almost every single consumer is wondering if they can afford it or not, right? And I think the industry struggles with this. They struggle with whether they should share their pricing online. They're starting at pricing, and a lot more are. And I think they want the opportunity to connect with the consumer because there are so many variations of whether someone is a veteran or they have like long-term care insurance or whatever it might be. But I think at the end of the day, we have a customer that we had a pricing CTA. It was basically a get pricing form. They fill it out, and of course, it was a high converting form. But what we were thinking is well, what if we change that? We flop it around, and instead of it being just a straight up pricing, what if we give them the opportunity to convert and to get pricing, but also get a downloadable financial guide at the same time, right? Get your downloadable financial guide. That just it went through the roof. Now it's the top converting CTA. The lifestyle quiz is the top click to conversion CTA for this customer, which is interesting. We don't see that on a lot of customers, but the second click to convert into sales funnel and the largest volume of engagements is on the download a financial guide. So you're educating the customer, you're capturing them in the sales funnel. So by the time you get to them, they've read information about your pricing. It's just brilliant. And I think it's again, it goes to the education, educating the consumers on what to expect, right? They're going to have the conversation, and that's a perfect opportunity for you to put here are the steps of researching senior living and what you should expect, that sort of thing. So anyways, I get a little passionate about
I
that.
No, I
Kidding.
think that's great. And I think that the more dialed in you can have your CTAs, the more you're going to learn from your prospective clientele, as they're navigating the website. What are they downloading? What are they clicking on? How long are they staying on these pages or reading these brochures or ebooks or whatever it is that you have for them to consume? If you can collect all of that data and use that to create even better experiences for people, education is, I think, at the forefront of everything in this industry. It's soft selling, right? You can't go in like a used car salesman. It just doesn't work.
No, and I think, when we tour, there's like, oh, here's our dining room, and I followed lots of tours, and they're generally wonderful people, very passionate. But at the end of the day, it understanding what's important to the person matters more. Well, this is our dining. I know that wasn't one of the things that was most important to you. Let's go to the wellness center, right? Or here's a menu, or would you like to meet the chef, or whatever. But I think just being more personalized is key to that.
What if a owner operator has issues with their website? Or how can they identify when their current language might be underperforming?
So I guess it depends on how your website is set up technologically, right? So for us, I think the data speaks volumes. You should be tracking your conversion mechanisms. You should understand how your CTAs, each of your CTAs are performing, not just a form completion rate, but a click. when they click on that CTA or call to action, I'll try not to use acronyms, and then they convert into the sales funnel. You should know all of those numbers and you should know how they're working collectively as a whole on average across your portfolio, but also at a community level, at a regional level. So I think the data, again, I said this earlier, is the data doesn't lie and you can make quick, subtle changes and you don't even have to use our tool. I mean, you just do just the buttons on your website. If you're just using, if let's say you have a landing page for tours and you have a landing page for downloadable content or however you do it, is just play with the language a little bit. It's not a huge change to change out a button name on a website, right?
Hmm.
For our tool, it's just really configurable. You can go in and just type it in, hit save, and it goes live on the website. So it's really, really easy. But at the end of the day, I think the data speaks volumes. And if you see something that's not working, don't use it. Put something else there. We've done that too, where we've seen with some communities that the lifestyle quiz just doesn't resonate. It may not resonate with, communities in Virginia or South Carolina, so take it off. Put something else on there. Put something that's more engaging for them or what they care about. But the ability to, mix and match and do what's effective for your community could be very effective. And having a partner that's willing to, don't be afraid to A/B test. I think that is where I'm going with this.
Yeah,
Lean into your
that's good
partner,
advice.
lean into your digital marketing agency and partner, lean into your conversion tools partner, lean into the group that you're engaging with and say, hey, could we do some A/B testing? It's really not that hard. And you learn a lot from it. I mean, just the data that you capture from it. We do free trials all the time. And I say to people, they're like, oh, we need to redesign our website. I'm like, okay, well, why don't we try some things first? Let's put up some CTAs. Let's see how people are engaging. Let's capture some data and then apply that towards the learnings, towards your experience with your agency that's helping you build it. Capture something on it and it's learn something, and it doesn't take a lot and it doesn't take a lot of money to learn something. So I often recommend that too, is you can continue down that track. But while you're continuing down that track, throw up like our navigator and just capture information. Look at the data. See what's happening there. See what your consumers are doing, right? It's an easy way to capture some information and to inform how you move forward on how you develop your website. So I don't know.
That's
Just
great
also,
advice. Yeah.
yeah.
Shifting gears a little bit, talking about AI. I think we both agree for now that AI is kind of top of the funnel. There was a 2024 HubSpot report that showed AI powered chat tools increased time on a website by 55% on average, but it accounts for less than 15% of direct conversions.
I can account.
Um,
I can
yeah,
attest.
yeah,
Yeah. It'll change. I think it will change over time for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where do
Uh,
you see it helping the most in your current deployments?
so Oh, that's a really, really good question, the most. So if I was to rank how we're using it, I think I have to put that into customer value.
Let's
I'll start with
let's
customer.
first let's first talk. How are you using AI? Let's first talk
Sure.
about that. Like how.
That's simple. Yeah, that's
Start
simple.
there. Yeah.
So we take a little bit of a unique approach where if you invest in an AI assistant for your website, you can either build it yourself or you can partner with a company like ours. And there are other companies out there doing it too. For us, the way we wanted to build it is not all senior living is ready for an AI assistant yet. They're uncomfortable about how it might answer a question. How is it going to respond to pricing, right? So for us, the way we chose to do it is we build agents. Our customers can build agents if they want to in the back end. So we build an agent, we educate it. Goes up on the website, but it goes up into the navigator as an option. So the 82-year-old that's coming in doesn't want to use a bot can use a simple form and convert in using the navigator. But the AI assistant is fully trained. You can ask it anything you want. It will convert. And there are other ways to convert within the AI assistant. So that's one way that we use it. And we chose to go full LLM, full conversational. It's not a decision tree. We don't ask a ton of questions. We say, what would you like to ask? Right. And then we learn from that data and then we educate
Mhm.
these based on that data. So that's the approach that we took. The second way we use it is we apply it on the data that we capture on our lifestyle quizzes. We could do it on the ProForms too, but that's limited data. And then we take that and create these AI summaries for the salespeople. So that's the second way we use it. And the third way we're using it is for analytics. There is no computing power bigger than or faster than AI. So we're releasing a brand new dashboard in September that will be heavily using AI to crunch and pull together the analytics that our customers care about. So those, and then we use it personally in our marketing department, right? So ChatGPT and Claude or whatever to create proposals or content or
Hmm.
whatever. But from a product perspective for our customers, sales facing, consumer facing on their websites, back end to support their salespeople to sell better, and then for the analytics piece of it. So those are the 3 areas that we're using it.
And out of those areas, where do you think it's helping the most?
You love that
I mean,
question
they're all unique, right? They
so
all have their
much. I
own
think right
distinct
now the
purpose.
AI piece on the analytics, our dashboards aren't ready yet, so I can tell you more on that. But in the end, I think that will be the most informative for our customers. They want to know where they're spending money and what's effective. Um, I think in senior living, the consumer facing, in my opinion, and it is IMO, in my opinion, is that that's still coming along. And people want to be on the cutting edge of technology, and they do want to help the salespeople save time, and they do want to help answer the customers' questions. They want to reduce abandonment on their website. They want the higher engagement on their website. So it's really important. So I would say that probably empowering the sales teams right now, I would put up a little higher because again, we can capture leads, but how do we empower the salespeople to be more effective? So if I had to, I think that's what I would say. So that
All
was
right.
a tough
I
one.
will go with that.
You put me on the spot on
That
that
makes
one. I'm
sense.
like, "Ooh." Yeah.
And then obviously this is a human centered, human focused industry. How do you balance AI tools with the need for personal human interaction?
Oh, I think our customers worry about that a lot. So I think how these assistants are educated matters a lot, right? So when I say educating a AI agent is a set of FAQs. How do they want them to answer specific questions? Right. So we have a standard set of FAQs that we would want the AI agent to be educated on. And then learning from the conversations. I think that there's a timidity because they're afraid of what and how the agent is going to answer questions. But I think that goes to preparation and planning. So we have 70 communities right now testing out our fully conversational LLM agent. And we review those conversations constantly. And you're right, it's still top of the funnel. Even though the agent is trained to convert and send into the CRM, they're still mainly top of funnel. So, I think it's just going to evolve. I think it's going to evolve and get better and better and better. And I think that the companies that want to be a little bit more innovative, I think the way it's going to work is it saves the sales team some time because people can do some self-qualifying and ask some questions that they might just call and talk to a salesperson about and may not be ready to make a decision. So I think it'll save sales time. I think with the turnover in this industry, and also the lack of speed. Not all companies, I do want to be very careful, that speed to lead could be improved upon a great deal in this industry. I think I don't remember what the percentages are off the top of my head, but it's pretty slow lead response times. Um, and some are probably shaking head, not in my company, but I think in general it is. I think with those 3 factors, AI can help significantly by converting in, at least keeping people engaged on the website, educating them on the top of line questions that they have about senior living, about the community. So I think in some sense, it's about time savings and about engagement and supporting the sales team. Turnover in the industry is tough too, right? So if you can have that at least standard trained way in which this agent can answer questions in the way that you want your organization to answer those questions, that's a very powerful thing.
Yeah, one super powerful way you could use AI in this space too. I mean, I saw there was a data point recently that said when I was talking about follow-ups, and it said that that sales teams that follow up within 5 minutes of receiving a form or a call or a chat had an 80%
80 or
higher conversion
90%.
rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell
It's
it.
just crazy. Yeah, such
Yeah,
a simple little tweak, right?
it really is. It really is. I mean, it could and somebody could feel like they're being serviced very quickly through an AI, right? And the data that comes from that, we can learn from. Like I said earlier, is it's one thing to guide somebody down a bunch of questions, and it's another thing to actually know what customers' questions are actually asking, open-ended questions. What are they going to our website and asking? We haven't been doing that at all. So do we really know our consumers? We think we do. Yeah. So, anyways.
We talked a little bit about the website earlier, and we talked about one platform on two separate devices, but now I want to talk about one platform and the two personas that are on that platform. So I know your data, you had mentioned that 50% of conversions come from older adults themselves, not just the adult children. And then, according to AARP in 2024, they did a study that said 69% of adults 70 plus now own a smartphone, but only 18% are very comfortable navigating new websites independently. How do you design a site that works just as well for an 82-year-old as it does for their 52-year-old daughter?
Yeah, I mean and that really falls more into your business side.
Yeah,
From our product side,
yeah.
for us, we really believe that content delivering. You know what? A great way to position this is when we did our data for last year. The number one converting mechanism across all of our customers were resources and content. So financial guides, pricing is always a big one, but resources came up over pricing this year. So what does that tell me? That tells me that people want to educate themselves, right? So as long as I think if you can engage people and have content that's directed at those specific audiences, I think that's really key. And that I still really and passionately um, stand behind making sure that you're offering multiple CTAs that people can like why would you just put a decision tree bot on your website? Because people are going to ask questions and they're going to get frustrated because they can't get an answer. So why not have other options for them, right? And then there are people that are comfortable with that. They're perfectly fine with it, right? So I'm a believer in or to design an experience, let's take it website wide for, older adults and adult children is you just have to have enough ways for people to engage and convert in a way that those 2 groups are comfortable with, right? So I think that's key, and then content directed to them, and you have to be careful with your language on your website. If you direct all of the language to adult children, that's really could really turn off an older adult. I mean, we saw that really early on with agingchoices.com. We have another website, and we saw that really early on, is that there are a lot more older adults looking at your website than you think. So being careful about that language is important.
Are there different friction points for each generation too? Are they similar?
We're seeing it. I can tell you what we see in our lifestyle quiz. So on our lifestyle quiz, when older adults fill it out, affordability, lifestyle, um, going back, lifestyle, affordability, downsizing, that's a big move. I just helped a girl that works with us move last weekend. It's just huge, right? I mean, she's been in the house for a long time. So that is definitely, it's more of how am I going to make that change? How am I going to live there? What does that mean to me? Unless I have a spouse that maybe has also memory care issues or I care about the care piece. On the adult child side, we see more of safety, security, available care, knowing somebody's available, enrichment programs. There's enough socialization. My mom won't be alone. So we definitely see those traditional subsets of what we've seen all along. So it's not rocket science, right? So, and then I think the affordability thing is a major friction point for not only consumers, but for providers. And they're trying to figure it out. How do they present that in a way that, because you don't go on to Zillow and go look at a house that's $1 million if your price range is 400,000, right? So I think that the industry will continue to try to figure that out. And we've customized pro forms that literally say up front, you know, hey, our services or our apartments start at $4,000 a month, depending on your needs. we recommend that you speak with an advisor, or if you have some benefits that could apply, like you could put some disclaimers on it so people don't go, oh, you know, no, that's too expensive for me. But that is self qualifying too, right? So they walk that line of being nervous about losing somebody because they didn't have the right and correct information. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I, that's a big challenge, I think, for a lot of sales teams and owners and operators in general. I mean, they don't necessarily want to turn leads away. But realistically, you can't help everyone, and not everyone has the budget that they need to be able to afford to live in certain communities. So I think it's an important question to ask up front. Unfortunately, our society is a little feels like money's still a little taboo to talk about. Right
Yeah.
out of the gate,
Yeah.
before you collect somebody's name and information, you're already asking me what my budget is. It's a little
Yeah, no, I think
off-putting.
that's challenging.
Yeah.
It's definitely a challenge in this space for sure.
One thing I want to make sure we talk about too is the new self-serve tool that you're working on,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because obviously not every community has a six-figure budget, but every family deserves a digital experience that's going to build trust along the way. And we're also in the process of developing a strategy for micro communities or for boutique senior living communities that may not be
Okay.
able to afford a giant marketing package either, because
Mm,
that's a big part of the market, and
huge part, and
I,
aging in place, is a big one too, right? Your home care, those segments are also looking to figure out a way to improve their digital
yeah,
experiences. So yeah,
and
interesting.
and the, and they're all competing against the Brookdales and the Sunrises and everything else. So I mean, how did these smaller communities get a leg up, or how do they get
Yeah.
access to the same technologies? Well, tell me about that.
So what we learned, majority of our customers are senior living, but we started to have conversations with agencies that handle franchises. It could be group homes or personal homes or small, just small group homes. And we started talking to Beehive Homes and got to know one of their agencies. And we were thinking about it, and we were basically told we did a whole bunch of, we love doing pilots. So we would do the pilot. And the owner operators came back and said, for the price point, it doesn't really make sense for us because we don't have that many beds. Our margins are lower. We don't have big budgets. So internally, we sat down and said, "Wow, we've talked to a lot of customers that could use a product that is not high cost, that is self-serve, and they could build it themselves and put it on their website, and at least start utilizing technologies in a way that the larger providers can have, right? Maybe at a scaled down version, but they could put their toes in and then start to build towards something. So we released a full software as a service, a SaaS product that people can sign up with a credit card for $20 a month. And they can build and navigate. Or ideally, what we'd love to do is partner with agencies like you, because at the end of the day, these folks also don't have the time to do this. So often, so we work with
Yeah,
an
very
agency,
true.
a couple of the big testing ones that we do, and the agency will set them up and they have a dashboard and they can build them all out and have them all ready and put them on the sites and they can see the analytics in the dashboard. So we are tweaking that more and we'll be going to market with that in Q4. So we're really excited about it. And it can serve hospice. It can serve so many segments that don't have, you know, the marketing expertise, or there might be individual owners that have 20 beds, but they're running the whole show, right? And they don't have that type of expertise or resources. So our goal would be to work with people like you to say, hey, how do we create something that's affordable and that someone can enter in? And then if they decide over time that it's really working for them or they're growing, then they can move into other products like AI, or a lifestyle quiz or, whatever it is they want to do. So our goal is to become more cognizant of the needs of the different levels and the aging space in general. And then be able to build to suit based on what people need and what their budgets are. So that's kind of our goal, is to be less senior living focused. We already are, right? But expand that out with the knowledge that we have to share that with other segments as well in the
Yeah.
agency.
And what are the barriers you're hoping to remove for smaller or mid-sized providers with this?
I think making their website a little bit more modern, right? Utilizing pop-up technology like the bigger providers are using. So they are more innovative and they're using some innovative products. I think helping them convert more out of their website, but also have a mechanism in place. They may not even use a CRM, having a mechanism in place in which they can at least capture their leads via email or a text so they can respond more quickly, having the ability to just use a simple Google Sheet to track their leads. I mean, it's simple stuff, but it takes them to a different level, right? So I think it's enabling them to manage their sales better, to be more responsive, to have that ability to have a better performing or better, I don't want to say performing website because that's not really the right way to say it. Maybe convert more leads because we know, I mean, the data shows if you use some type of pop up, we'll call it a widget for a lack of better terms, right? Is that you will see across all industries an average of 9 to 10% more conversions. But if you do it well, you could see much more than that. We've had a customer that saw 200%. We had a customer that saw 40%, right? So it depends. It really depends. But I think giving them the option, lower cost, more affordable, let's say it that way, more affordable, really easy to install, easy to set up, there are tutorial videos and, a tutorial that they can go through and literally take that piece of code and put it on their website and put it up. They don't need to be experts to
Yeah.
do it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think most small providers are flying blind when it comes to understanding what's actually going on their website. So anything we can do to help them understand a little bit more, to get some clarity on what they can do to improve, to change, to create more conversions without having to hire an entire marketing team to do it, I think is
Well,
great.
you know what
So,
we're seeing, Jerry? We're seeing an influx of requests on the smaller personal care homes and the in group homes and individual smaller assisted living or smaller memory cares. And you can only work on so much and focus on so much. So by creating a self-serve process and a self-serve onboarding, we can help service that market more effectively. And partnering with folks like yourself, that could help as well, right? Because they could have a standard package to help them with the website traffic as well. A whole collective experience, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to talk about a little bit is partnership, not
Yeah.
competition, because Waypoint you work alongside agencies like ours, CCR Growth, and I know that you've mentioned before that the vendor agency relationship is misunderstood. And I think we align in the fact that we both kind of see this as a partnership. We're not tech competitors, we're partners. And why do you think some marketing agencies see conversion tools like yours as a threat?
Um, I think there's the basics, which is there's only so much marketing budget to go around. And, we're in some sense competing for some pieces of budget. I think there's the basics of that. I think there's also a thing where people that manage websites want to control the journey from beginning to end. Some are more full service than others. They'll literally get into CRMs and automation and HubSpot and all of that. So I think there's some of that. But I see it on the other side. I see it as if I was a customer, I would want the best set of tools and the best partners that I could have based on my business, my brand, what I want to achieve, my culture, like everything about my business. If I could have partners like that. So I see us as an extension of your team, of the customer's team. And if we're all working together and having brainstorm sessions on how do we change the CTAs on this website, what would be better? Like we just released a whole brand new product. It's a pop-up that comes from the nav. And it just, if somebody wants to turn it on, they can change it out, they can do whatever they want. But that's through conversation. And that's about understanding and tracking. And then how do we track effectively? Like what if you have an advanced welcome home integration and you're tracking true lead source, and you have a pop-up form on your website, consolidate it, get it all into one dashboard, right? So I think at the end of the day, it's about partnership. Collectively have one goal, and that's to help our customers meet their strategic goals. So if we work together to do that, we all win. And you've heard of the term mastermind, right? It's a collective mastermind. The more people you bring in, the more brain power you have, and the more effective you can be, right? And for me personally, if I had an agency, which I don't, what if I did? I would say I would want to have a bag of tricks for my customers that were the best bag of tricks for that particular customer. So you may have Rubric, you may have Site Staff, you may have Waypoint, you may have Further, but have them all because that customer might be different. A CCRC might want a different product than a traditional rental ALI, 50 site ALIL. Get to know who's out there and then pick the best product for your customers. And then there's different price levels too. Everybody has different budgets. Collectively, I think if the more tools that you have as a marketing, you're a partner. The more tools you have to help them be better at what they do, the better off you are. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely speak to the strength of that partnership too. I mean,
Yeah.
for our agency, we're not just marketing, we also help with the sales side. So we're
Yeah.
helping with lead generation, we're helping look at the sales cycle. How can we compress the sales cycle or improve it or automate pieces of it so that the sales team can spend their time actually in more meaningful ways with their prospects? And then we look at systems on the back end. Which systems can we remove? Which ones can we condense? How can we add to make this more efficient for the operations team so that they can better understand what's going on? What are we spending money on? How much is it costing per movement? But then your piece of it, I think, is so important too, is the conversion piece, is understanding what that user's doing on the website and how are they converting and how can we continuously test. So I do think it's a partnership that needs to happen. And I think,
And
I
best
think there
practices
are,
too, we
yeah,
learn all the time.
yeah.
So why aren't we sharing in the learning so our customers can be more successful?
Yeah, to gatekeep that information from each other just doesn't make sense in my
No, it
opinion.
doesn't make sense. And our tools may not be right for a particular organization, but they might be great for another organization? So I think, yeah, 100%. That's cool that you guys do end to end.
Yeah,
That's
that was
amazing.
one of the biggest things when we transitioned from just a traditional marketing agency to full service within the senior living spaces. We wanted to have the opportunity with the clients who would allow us to have the
Yeah, yeah.
opportunity to do more than just lead generation, because here's a bunch of leads and then what happens? Then they go to someone else, then we get no feedback on what's happening, how they're converting. And so we have to end up doing the digging on the back end to then, put the pieces together. But now we build CRMs from scratch. We have the entire system laid out. So we fully understand what's going on and where every lead is dropping off or converting and what those percentages look like. So it just helps us provide better opportunities for conversion. And we don't have to have as many leads in the pipeline to convert like we used to.
Yeah.
So
Effectiveness of campaigns. I mean, it's huge. I mean, some of our customers, they've thrown our navigator up on their PPC landing pages. And they saw anywhere from like 57 to 157% increase in conversions on the page. It's like, then why wouldn't you do it? It's such an inexpensive
yeah,
way to
yeah,
increase the number of leads, right? But don't be afraid to try it. I think that's the point. Is the one thing I love about our all of our partners is, what do we have to lose? Let's try it. Let's put it up.
yeah.
Let's see
Just
if we
test it out. Just see how it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right?
100%. Yeah, exactly. We put rubric on our navigator, and a customer saw 47% increase on conversions just by putting rubric on our navigator. So if somebody uses rubric, we by all means want to help that customer get more rubric conversions, right? So at the end of the day, it's just about making it work. So yeah.
Well, Terry, thank you. Thank you so much for such a great interview. This was pretty amazing. I know our audience is going to eat this up because everybody wants to know more about why their website isn't converting and what are the best tricks and tools that are available to them.
Well, thank you for
So,
having me. I've enjoyed it, and you've touched upon a bunch of my passion points. I wasn't too assertive here. But if anybody wants to learn more about us, we do have a website. It's waypointconverts.com. I'm always happy to have a conversation, a more consultative conversation with someone if they'd like to talk about it, their website and their conversions and how that works. Also, you can follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram as well.
if you want to connect with you, LinkedIn's the best option for them.
Yeah, LinkedIn's a great option, but you can always email me directly, tsullivan@waypointconverts.com, or just sales@waypointconverts.com will come to me too, collectively as a team. So yeah, if you want to reach out and have a conversation, we're happy to have it. Would love to chat.
Okay,
Again.
great. All right. Well, as we wrap up today's episode, I want to extend a huge thank you to Terri Sullivan for joining us and sharing your powerful perspective on how to make websites work smarter in senior living. Your emphasis on data, personalization, and sales empowerment brings clarity to a space that often overlooks the digital experience still, even in 2025. So if you want to connect with Terri or learn more about her work at Waypoint Converts, we've included her LinkedIn and company info in the show notes. And as always, we hope you found this episode insightful and inspiring. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform and stay tuned for more episodes where we continue to explore the evolving world of senior care, covering everything from innovative care models and leadership strategies to family support, technology, and the future of aging. And also remember that From Leads to Leases isn't just an audio experience, we're also a video podcast. So if you want to see the video versions of our episodes like the one here with Terri, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube or Spotify channels. I'm Jerry Vinci, CEO of CCR Growth. Thank you for joining us on From Leads to Leases. Please like, subscribe, and share this episode with anyone who might find it useful. And until next time, lead with strategy and with heart. Chat with you again soon. Thanks, Terri.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. It was great.
Thanks for listening to From Leads to Leases. Are you ready to fill your rooms faster and increase occupancy? Visit ccrgrowth.com to learn about our Senior Growth Innovation Suite, a proven system to generate highly qualified, tour-ready leads, accelerate sales, and reduce acquisition costs. Let's connect and turn your challenges into opportunities. See you next time.